Tell me it's not 14 degrees there like it is here.
Oh, it's triple that here. It's much warmer.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's
in the 40s. So if you're thinking I'm laying out sipping a Mai Tai right now, no, that's not true.
Yeah. Oh, well, the thing we talk about when we talk about Bradenton at this time of the year is you could have yourself a nice 30 or 40 degree morning and an afternoon that's overcast and you only get into the 50s, or you could shoot it right up into the 80s and get those gale force winds, and that's just all a part of the fun of spring training, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd say most of the time it's in the 70s here this time of year, and it's been warm. The game in Fort Myers the other day, I think, got up into the high 80s, and then I drove back into a thunderstorm, and then the next morning it's 43 degrees or whatever in the morning. So if it's going up there, it's colder down here, but yeah, it's still a little bit milder, of course.
Hey Joe, we've got a week to go. The season starts next week, and final roster spots still being decided. There's some real competition going on in this team, isn't there? Maybe not for the starting 9 on a given day, but certainly those bench positions are up for grabs, and there's some guys really fighting for them.
Yeah, and that's the difference, I think. When you have a good team, you don't have, you're not trying to figure out who's the leadoff hitter, the 2-hitter, the 4-hitter, the 5-hitter, the 6-hitter, the 7-hitter, and so on. There are a lot of names in stone going into spring training, and I think that's been the case here with these Pirates. But yes, there's always a few spots, the back, the few ends, a few spots in the bullpen. Who's going to be the 5th starter? And what role will anybody else have that's on the roster, off the roster? You might lose a couple guys off the 40-man because you want some non-roster guys to make it. And then the big spot, of course, is shortstop. Everyone's talking about Konnor Griffin. How can you not? He's 19 years old. He's got a chance to make this ball club. And if he doesn't out of spring training, he's definitely going to impact the Pirates soon and in a major way. This is one of the best prospects that's really ever been around in years and years, and maybe the biggest one that the Pirates have had in decades, I would think. So, and especially at this age. So you think of that, and what they can do at shortstop. Either if it's not Griffin, then Alika Williams is a non-roster player, but he can really play shortstop. Looks like he's had a better bat, or maybe the two-headed Triolo and Nick Gonzalez. Timeshare at short, although I think you're losing something defensively there versus Williams. So, Griffin has the advantage there too, because not only can he play the position well defensively every day, but also, the upside there is immense, of course, with the bat.
Yeah, and of course we have to figure out if Nick York is a part of this mix as well. When you are standing next to a guy like Konnor Griffin, does it feel like you're looking at Michelangelo's statue of David?
Yeah, I mean, he's what is he, 6'4", 230, something like that. I mean, at age 19, it's incredible to see. He still feels like when you watch him from the press box, he still looks a little wiry. Mm-hmm. But right up next to him, obviously, he's muscular and he looks the part. That's what's incredible about being 19 years old like that, to be able to have that kind of muscle on your frame at that age. It's unusual. And so for him, it's, sky's the limit. He's a married man. He's very, very grounded. Yesterday he was sitting at Marcell Ozuna's locker. Ozuna's the new DH of the Pirates, who's played 15 years in the major leagues. And he's asking him about hitting tips and approach and things like that. And he sat there for, 15 minutes or so. Mm-hmm. And that's the kind of stuff that, if you're going to get better. I was watching the World Baseball Classic game last night, and Skeens is asking Logan Webb. It looked like he was asking him about different pitch grips that Webb uses, and it's like, well, that's how, good players get great and great players get even greater. And Skeens is like that. And Griffin's like that. Now, Griffin's got to still prove himself, but he's on that same trajectory as a Skeens, where they have all the talent in the world, and they also have leadership qualities, and they want to continually get better, and they're humble, and it's just all the boxes get checked. So whether it's on March 26th or beyond, Konnor Griffin's going to be a really special player for the Pirates, and that's what makes this year so exciting.
Yeah, it really does. All right, you said a couple of things there that triggered me to some other thing. First of all, the World Baseball Classic, the Pirates are getting their players back from that, and O'Neill Cruz is one of those. Second of all, he seems like a much more confident ball player. I think the World Baseball Classic did a world of good for O'Neill Cruz. But from our distance, looking from Pennsylvania, the guy looks even bigger. He looks like he bulked up over the winter.
Yeah, I think a little bit. The big thing is, and we know this, I mean, blue collar, if you want to get better at something, you work at it. And that's what he did over the winter. I'm talking about O'Neill Cruz. He couldn't hit lefties last year, but he's shown that he could in the past. So what did he do? He hired a batting practice pitcher, throw left-handed to him all winter long, and he hit off the lefty all winter long to get better at it. Center field, especially in the first half of last year, looked terrible at times. And it got better, but not certainly good enough yet, not reaching this potential. So what's he do? He works with Kevin Kiermaier, one of the best center fielders of the century, who's retired now. Hey, teach me the finer points of playing center field. That's the kind of stuff that, great players need to do to be great. You can't just have talent. We saw that. Cruz hit under 200 last year. There's all the talent in the world. Start to realize it. Well, he's 27 years old. He's a dad. He's, like you said, the at-bats look comfortable. It's all coming together. He's investing in his own career. People have poured into him and are continuing to do so. But he's investing in himself now, and I think that's the thing that had separated him from being, realizing his potential. And I think that's coming this year. We saw it in spring, in a few spring training games, and we saw it in the World Baseball Classic as a reserve, not as a starting player. And asking him about that yesterday, and he said, I still went about the same approach, and I wanted to prove to them that I can play every day. And I think that that kind of stuff, fuels the fire, and sometimes that fire had been dormant in O'Neill Cruz. It feels like that's there. So he's a key to this whole season too. We talk about Skeens and Griffin, and we should, but if Cruz becomes Cruz, like we've been thinking, this team can win the division. It's really an exciting season if a lot of these things come together. It's always a big if, but if it does, this is the kind of team that can win 90-plus ball games if you get that kind of output.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, we had a bunch of Pirates, especially bullpen players, that were in the World Baseball Classic. Maybe I'll get a chance to ask you about them before we're done here Friday or Monday. But I wanted to ask you this, Joe, because the report came out today that every human being should have at least 4 hugs a day. 4 hugs a day, and I thought maybe if you sidled up next to Big Bear, he'd give you one.
Oh yeah, he's a friendly guy. Although I'd probably have a cracked rib in the process.
I was going to say he might crush you.
Yeah, but that's okay. So maybe he'll just give me one of the 4. I'll find somebody else for the other ones.
Yeah, the other ones will have to be very gentle because I'm guessing Big Bear gives Big Bear hugs.
Yes. Yeah, it's a fun bunch in that clubhouse. There's a lot more hugs, it feels like, this year going around in that Pirates clubhouse, too. So everyone's getting their 4 down there.
Yeah, absolutely. It does seem like a group that is really, really comfortable with each other, and they have a lot of fun. The byplay the other day between Bubba and Skeensy, I thought was really fun. Yeah,
those two are really close friends. But, one of the national reporters was in the clubhouse yesterday, and he was asking me, they're friends, right? Right? Yes. They were just teasing each other, through the media and that kind of thing, and to have fun with each other. And that's the kind of stuff that you can't mandate. You can't tell people to like each other and get along, but you can try. I think Ben Cherington's done a nice job, and he did that with the 13 Red Sox that won the World Series. He brought in some really good high character players and tried. You can't always get it right, but you try to help create this dynamic. And it already was there with some of these young starting pitchers, like you mentioned. But I think with the position players and really everybody kind of coalescing, you need talent. You can't win without talent. You can have the nicest clubhouse in the world and no talent, and you're not going to win much. But if you have that, I think it rounds everything up. And so instead of, I think last year the Pirates rounded down, I feel like this is with under Donnie Kelly's leadership and these guys and the way that they pull for each other, it's going to round up this year for the Pirates.
Yeah, and I think you just made the big point. It all radiates from the manager, doesn't it?
Yeah, he's a special guy. For instance, earlier this spring, I'm walking in the hallway, and he's got 100 things going on before a day game in spring training. He's coming out of one meeting, going to the next meeting, and I see him in the hallway, and I just say, and I hadn't seen him yet in the spring. I say, "Hey, Donnie." And he goes, "Hey, Joe, how you doing? Hey, are you coming to the game today?" "Yeah." And he put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "All right, I'll see you over there. That sounds good." And just a little acknowledgement, and I feel included in the bunch. And then I end up seeing him after the game, and I said, do you remember seeing me earlier today?" He goes, "No." And I go, "That's what you do." And I try to tell him about it. Like, you made me feel included, but you didn't even know you're doing it because you're just rushing around. But most people, me included, would just go to the next thing you have to do because you're so focused on that. But he's always finding ways to include people, making sure that he's listening to them, and will be firm with them and tell them, "Hey, you need to do this to get better," or, "Hey, you're not cutting it right now." That a little bit of Jim Leland in him. He played for Leland in Detroit. That's the kind of stuff that I think can make a successful manager. He's really good with people. And so, again, it's going to round up with the Pirates, whatever they've got in them this year. It's going to be a touch better, I think, because of Donnie and because of the guys themselves.
It's going to be a cool thing. Bucks and I think Tigers today, huh?
Another look at Casey Mize of the Tigers and Braxton Ashcraft for the Pirates tonight.
Yeah. You working the game?
Yes.
Oh, cool. We'll look forward to listening. Joe, thanks so much for the visit today. Appreciate it.
Always, Todd. Thank you.
Remember, Big Bear, need a hug.
I'm going to go down there. If I got a cracker, I'm sending you the hospital bill.
All right, you do that. Thanks, Joe. Have a great day.
All right, you too, Todd.
Joe Block of the Pittsburgh Pirates. It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Joe, as always, brought to you by A&A Construction.